But speaking of the price we're going to pay, to something that should have blown up Labor's campaign today because it exposed the danger of Labor's catastrophic global warming policies. Yet as far as I could tell, the Prime Minister today was not asked a single question about it. What blindness. Just 6 days ago, Spain boasted it had powered its entire grid for the first time with 100% renewable energy. It's the green dream. Wind, solar, hydro, that, no coal or nasty gas. But yesterday, Spain and Portugal suffered the biggest blackout in history, at least European history. Both countries completely losing electricity, and for hours. People couldn't use computers. They couldn't catch trains or planes. They couldn't charge their phones. In many cases, they couldn't even use them anyway. Stoplights were out, factories closed, total chaos. Now, there's been lots of theories for this. We still don't know the full story. Was it a cyber attack or maybe extreme weather events, even though Madrid was just 23 degrees, so you couldn't blame that. But now experts say, this disaster was most likely, we don't know for sure, was most likely caused by too much renewable power. Unreliable power that wasn't backed up by enough reliable power like coal or gas or nuclear to keep the system stable and stop it crashing. Just before the blackout, which started in Spain, problem is Spain also supplies a lot of Portugal's power, the Spanish grid was using around 70% renewable energy. And then, bang, there was some kind of fluctuation, a lot of power suddenly dropped in just 5 minutes. System couldn't handle that, the whole system tripped. And because Spain relies on so much wind and solar, there wasn't enough stable power of the kind you get from nuclear, coal and gas to restart the system fast. And remember, this is when Spain was using 70% renewables. Anthony Albanese promises to make Australia's grid use not 70, but 82% renewables just 5 years from now. But now we see the great, great danger. Now, before we get to the crazy political risk Labor is taking with their electricity, let's quickly hear from an expert on the engineering factors here. Tony Irwin has commissioned and operated 8 nuclear reactors in Britain. He was also the first reactor manager for Australia's only nuclear plant at Lucas Heights. Tony Irwin, thank you so much for joining me. We've heard various theories about why Spain and Portugal were blacked out for hours, not much firm information. There's a cyber attack. I'm not sure that's likely. One theory, a mysterious disappearance of the Spanish Prime Minister of lots of electricity in just 5 seconds that tripped the system. Others have said, oh, look, there are temperature rises, even though Madrid was just a nice 23 degrees. And I think one of the power suppliers said extreme oscillation. Look, who knows? What do you think happened in layman's terms?
Well, we're looking at Portugal. Just before the incident, Portugal had 44% solar, 22% wind, and 40% import from Spain. So they're highly dependent on Spain for the stability of their system. So when they had the big problem in Spain, they lost that import. So you can see the effect that would have had on Portugal, a really massive drop in frequency and blackouts in Portugal. As far as Spain's concerned, before the incident, looking back at the figures, they've got 60% solar, 10% wind, so 70% variables in the system, 10% nuclear and less than 1% coal. What the Spanish authorities are saying is that they lost 15 gigawatts of power in 5 seconds. So quite what they lost is not certain yet.